Okay, we're going to finish up talking about cell membranes, the little brain on top of a cell, the little sliver of oil that sits on top of these tiny little entities that are 1/100th the size of a head of a pin. The membrane, in addition to being the brain, the information processor, is also a carrier for fats. It's a carrier for a special type of fat that gets turned into a special type of hormone. Hormones that are involved in the formation of inflammation and inflammatory pain. Inflammation and inflammatory pain. So these fats that are stored in the membrane, in addition to being information processors, also are precursors or raw material to inflammatory and anti-inflammatory hormones, to pain hormones and anti-pain or analgesic hormones. And there's a lot of drugs that work at this level. Vioxx works at this level. Celebrex works at this level. The so-called COX-2 inhibitors work at this level. When this membrane is disturbed in any fashion, or when the environment around the membrane is disturbed in any fashion, it will release fats, and these fats will get turned into a special kind of hormone. I call them master hormones because they're responsible for all of the inflammatory and anti-inflammatory processes in the body. This can happen if the membrane is destabilized by injury. It can happen if the membrane is destabilized or weakened by nutritional deficiencies. It can happen if the membrane is destabilized or weakened by toxicity. Lack of oxygen can do it as well. All of these can conspire to cause fats to be released from the membrane, and those fats then will get turned into inflammatory or anti-inflammatory hormones. The fats that are stored in the membrane and that get released are said to be essential, meaning you got to get them in your diet. They're said to be acidic. That's based on their chemical structure. In fact, you might call them essential, you might call them fatty, and you might call them acidic, or you might call them essential fatty acids. And that's exactly what EFAs are. And that's exactly what EFAs do. Essential fatty acids, like the kind that you get in the ultimate EFAs, get stored in the cell membrane, get stored in that little sliver of oil, and they are released upon injury or upon toxicity or upon some kind of disturbance of the cell membrane. And when those essential fatty acids get released, they get turned into master hormones, inflammatory hormones or anti-inflammatory hormones, and that makes EFAs super important for all inflammatory issues. And remember, all degenerative diseases are inflammatory issues. So what I'm saying here is essential fatty acids, via this very important inflammatory role, play an important part in all degenerative disease. And lack of essential fatty acids play a role in all degenerative diseases. All of them, my friends. I don't care if we're talking about arthritis or cancer or psoriasis or anything. Any chronic degenerative disease has an essential fatty acid component. That makes EFAs ridiculously important. That makes the ultimate EFAs from Longevity one of the most important nutritional supplements you could ever take. EFAs are so important for so many reasons, it's hard to know where to begin. Healthy blood pressure, healthy heart, healthy circulatory system, brain health, muscle health, the health of the immune system, the health of the digestive system, and as we'll talk about here in a moment, the health of the skin is all very important, dependent really on us getting an adequate intake of essential fatty acids. And you're not going to get EFAs really from foods. That's because they're difficult to find in foods and processing. They're difficult to stand up to processing techniques, which include cooking and certainly include industrial processing. So many, if not most, foods are essential fatty acid deficient, which means you have to supplement with EFAs. Next to the Beyond Tangy Tangerine, the ultimate EFAs from Longevity are the most important of all the nutritional supplements, even probably more important than the Biolumin Nightly Essence, which is a close third. The reason these EFAs are multifunctional is because of the role they play in this inflammatory process. You gotta have them, folks. You gotta have them in the diet, or you gotta have them in supplements. They provide the membrane, the cell membrane, with the EFAs they need for quick release. And this is one of the reasons why we want to make sure we're eating the right kind of fats too. Avocados are a good source of essential fats. Fish is a good source of essential fats. Seeds have essential fats. Even grains have essential fats. In fact, most of the fats that Americans get in the diet are derived from grains. Sunflower, safflower, wheat, soy, oats. And this is one of the big underappreciated health problems that Americans deal with. the fact is that even though essential fatty acids are found in grains, only one type of essential fat is found in grains. See, there's two different types. In fact, there's two antagonistic or opposing types of essential fats, and you need them both. You guys have all heard the terms, probably, omega-6 and omega-3. You need both omega-6s and omega-3s. And the fact of the matter is that grains contain primarily omega-6s. So if we're getting our fats, and most of us are, our essential fatty acids, that is, from grains, most of us are going to be getting way too much omega-6 fatty acids compared to omega-3s. Omega-3s are found in grass, for example. That's why grass-fed beef may be a healthier option than grain-fed beef. The fact of the matter is cows are grazers. They're not seed eaters. And they're healthier when they're eating the grass. And one of the reasons is that the grass contains omega-3s. Omega-3 fats tend to be anti-inflammatory. They balance out the inflammatory effects of omega-6s. So it's this relationship between omega-6s and omega-3s, this relationship between inflammation and anti-inflammation that is the major point when it comes to understanding inflammatory and chronic diseases. Hang tight. I'll finish this up when we come back from our break. I'm Pharmacist Ben. 855-660-4261 is our call-in number. Got lines open for you. Try to get on board early so we can get to as many calls as possible. 855-660-4261. I'm Pharmacist Ben. We'll be back. Okay, omega-6s, omega-3s, we call them essential because they are essential. You can't make them. You got to get them in your diet. They're important for every single function in the body. There isn't a single health issue that doesn't have somewhere along the line an essential fatty acid or essential fatty acid deficiency component. There isn't a single health issue that doesn't have an inflammatory component, and EFAs are your key anti-inflammatory and inflammatory nutrients. There's a very important relationship between the two essential fatty acids. They're both important. One is associated with inflammation, that's omega-6s. The other is associated with anti-inflammation, and those are omega-3s, and you need them both. Blood pressure in particular, and circulatory system benefits or circulatory system issues may involve EFAs or EFA balances. By the way, an article just came out today on Medscape Medical News. Blood pressure medications up AMD, macular degeneration, age-related macular degeneration risk. That's a 20-year study that was done at the University of Wisconsin School of Medicine and Public Health. No surprise there. Blood pressure medicines change the way the circulatory system works, and it's not just going to be your eyes that suffer. Every system will suffer from antihypertensive medicines. Omega-3s, on the other hand, are non-toxic and can help lower your blood pressure. In addition to providing benefits, they're non-toxic, they provide benefits, not side effects, benefits, which is just another example of how nutrition works, and it's why we say good nutrition is good medicine. Good nutrition is the best medicine, and this is just another example. So fats are really important when it comes to the inflammatory process, and inflammation is the key element in health or lack thereof. Think inflammation, think fats as in fat intake and fat digestion and fat processing if you're dealing with a chronic degenerative disease. And which chronic degenerative disease, which health challenges can be said to be inflammatory? All of them, every last one of them. Disruptions in the inflammatory process can be an element of every single disease you can name, and that means foods and supplements with both omega-6s and omega-3s are going to be important. That also means fat absorption and fat metabolism and fat processing is also going to be important for all chronic degenerative diseases. That means use digestive enzymes, the ultimate enzymes with lipase in them. Use pancreatic enzymes. Use lecithin. Use apple cider vinegar, and you may want to take extra bile salts as well. And what all this means is that understanding how to keep our fat processing system healthy and strong and operating at 100% maximum efficiency is unbelievably important. Fats are sticky and gunky, and from a digestive system perspective, it's hard to separate essential fatty acids and other fatty nutrients like coenzyme Q10 and vitamin E and vitamin A and other minerals from our foods. Under conditions of overall poor health, one of the early elements of degeneration is going to involve how the body extracts these substances from our food. And because fats are so important for long-term health and for growth and repair, as opposed to water-soluble nutrients, your B vitamins and electrolytes and vitamin C, which are more involved in short-term energizing type of chemistry. Your vitamin D, E, A, and K, and essential fatty acids, those are more important for long-term growth and repair. If you're running into problems absorbing, or if you're not getting enough of these substances, that's going to mean further degeneration. By the way, vitamin B5 is one of the B vitamins that actually has a role to play in fat processing. Unlike the other B vitamins, vitamin B5 has a role to play in fat metabolism, and vitamin B5, or as it's known as pantothenic acid, is a helpful supplement to use for hormone issues or for sebum production issues if your skin is too oily. And vitamin B5 is also a precursor to estrogen, or involved in the production, I should say, of estrogen and other steroid hormones. And by the way, you can apply vitamin B5 topically to improve oily skin as well. I formulated a product called Drying Lotion, which you can get on my website, sanitas-skincare.com. I formulated drying lotion for oily skin. It's made with vitamin B5. And I also recommend B5 for menstrual cramps and PMS. And it may be helpful for menopausal symptoms like hot flashes and skin breakouts. That's just a little digression. Back to fats. Avocados are especially a good source of fats. You can also use eggs to get your good fats, especially omega-3 fats. Then we come to the skin, which is especially predisposed to suffering the effects of problems with fats and fat metabolism. Wrinkles and sun damage and hyperpigmentation or dark spots, these are places where fat metabolism issues can show up. And there is a very, very important relationship between fats and dry skin. From a physiologic perspective, from a health perspective, no one should ever have dry skin. And I've been in the skincare business 30 years, and in my estimation, 90% of adults, or even more, 95% of adults have dry skin issues, but nobody's supposed to have dry skin. Skin makes its own moisture factors. The fact that dry skin is so common, the fact that most people have dry skin issues, combined with the fact that nobody should ever have dry skin because the skin makes its own moisture factors, is testimony to how unhealthy we are. We may just have dry skin and we may say, oh, well, I'll just use a moisturizer. It's not a big deal. But the point that needs to be made about dry skin is that it's an indicator of some kind of biochemical breakdown. That means if we have dry skin, we're running higher risks for all chronic degenerative diseases. Dry skin should never occur. Dry skin does not ever occur in a healthy body. If we have dry skin, we have a biochemical issue. If we have dry skin, we have an internal issue. We have a systemic issue. And if we have an internal or systemic issue that is manifesting on the outside as dry skin, that means we're running high risks for every single chronic degenerative disease you can name, including simple accelerated aging. Yes, dry skin is a marker for accelerated aging and an early demise as well. That's dry skin. It's no mere cosmetic or superficial disturbance. It is a big-time sign of a body that's breaking down. And most people have dry skin, which means most of us have bodies that are breaking down. And our dry skin is an indicator. Well, guess what that means? That means also that once we fix our dry skin, that's an indicator that the inside of our body is changing as well. If we can really change our dry skin from the inside out, we can make our lives longer and we can reduce our risks of chronic degenerative diseases. We can reduce our risks of an early demise. We can reduce our risks of autoimmunity. We can reduce our risks of cancer as well, simply by changing our dry skin. Now, if you go ahead and use a moisturizer, not only are you not going to be doing anything to improve the internal biochemistry, but even worse, you're not going to be doing anything for your dry skin. In fact, as somebody who's been formulating skincare products for 30 years, I'm going to tell you something that's going to blow you away. I'm going to tell you something that is going to not only tick you off, but it's going to want to make you never want to use a moisturizer ever again. I'll tell you when we come back from a break what I'm talking about, and then we'll get your phone calls at 855-660-4261. You're listening to The Bright Side on the Genesis Communication Network. We'll be back after this. So, I've been formulating skincare products for a lot of years, and let me tell you something. One of the silliest, dumbest, craziest things you could ever put on your dry skin, believe it or not, is a moisturizer. is a moisturizing lotion or a moisturizing cream, and I know I'm probably going to make people upset about that. Probably folks who are making their own skincare products or using skincare products, moisturizing skincare products, are wondering, what the heck am I talking about? Well, it turns out that when you use a moisturizing cream on top of your skin, all you're doing, first of all, is putting some kind of slick grease, wax, oil complex on the surface of your skin. You're not doing anything to moisturize your skin. In fact, the word moisturizer is kind of a misnomer. Moisture is water, and you're not putting water in your skin. You're putting oil and wax on your skin, and when you rub your hand on your skin after you put your moisturizer on, all you're really feeling is some kind of slick, greasy, oily sensation. Sometimes more oily, sometimes less oily, but you're just feeling oil and wax and grease. The reason skincare companies love this so much because oil and wax and grease don't cost very much money. And if you throw in the water, which is 80 to 90%, 70 to 80%, sometimes 90% of your moisturizing product, you can see that skincare companies don't want to kill the goose that laid the golden eggs, because you're paying basically $20, $30, $40 for a 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 ounce product that's mostly water and wax and oil, which costs pennies. Nobody's going to tell you. No skincare company's going to tell you the truth about that. But even worse, not only are you not doing anything for your dry skin, which is an internal issue at the end of the day, not only are you not doing anything, but because your skin adjusts to the ambient humidity, the skin adjusts to dryness in the air or lack of dryness in the air, moisture in the air, by upregulating or increasing its own natural moisture factors. When you put a moisturizer on, you deceive the skin into thinking it doesn't need to make any more moisture factors, and then you end up drier than you were before you use your moisturizer, and this is why we get addicted to our moisturizing creams and lotions. So not only are we not doing anything to really address the cause of our problems, where have you heard that before? That's par for the course for our drug and pharmaceutical and medical mentality. Not only are we doing nothing for the original problem, but even worse, we're making the problem significantly worse. How do you like that? You spend money on a moisturizing cream, you don't help your dry skin, and you make your dry skin worse. On the other hand, if you use topical vitamins, topical nutrients, you can stimulate the skin to make its own moisture factors. Topical vitamin C in its right form, in its fatty form. Topical vitamin A especially are important. Topical vitamin E may help as well. If you use topical nutrients on your skin, you can help your skin make its own moisture factors. And if you take in internal nutrients, especially essential fatty acids, along with vitamin E, and perhaps vitamin A as well, you can help your skin make its own moisture factors. You can help take care of your dry skin from the inside out, and you can get all of the systemic internal benefits, including lower blood pressure, better brain health, reduction in inflammation and chronic degenerative disease. You get all of these benefits, plus you really help your dry skin, and that's why I'm a skincare chemist and skincare formulator who really emphasizes nutrition and nutritional supplementation. All right, we're going to continue talking about essential fatty acids, and then we're going to get into our next amino acid, my favorite amino acid, super amino acid with 4 elements of nitrogen on it. Arginine for growth, for bodybuilding, for blood sugar, for anti-aging, anti-wrinkles, and interestingly, for wound healing for the skin as well. We'll do that tomorrow as we continue on the bright side. I'm Pharmacist Ben. 855-660-4261 is our number. Let's go to California and welcome Barbara to the bright side. Good morning, Barbara. What's going on?
Oh, hi, Ben. It seems that I've developed an allergy to vitamin B12. And
okay.
I discovered this when Tangy Tangerine changed their formula to Beyond Tangy Tangerine.
Okay.
And I didn't really know that it was the B12 at the time, but when I first took it, I developed almost very quickly a rash on my face, and my face got kind of puffy, and my eyes.
Okay. Okay, hang tight now, Barbara. Let me make sure I understand this, okay? You switched from the Beyond Tangy Tangerine to the Beyond Tangy Tangerine 2.0, and you got an allergic reaction, right? Am I right so far? I'm trying to understand. Just yes or no, Barbara. I want to try to understand what you're saying. So just say yes or no. You switched from the B12, from the BTT regular to the Beyond Tangy Tangerine 2.0, and you got a rash. Yes or no?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And now you're saying that that's because you're allergic to vitamin B12, right?
And the reason that I believe that is that I stopped taking it, and the rash went away.
Okay.
But then I took some vitamin B12 that I had not taken it before, but I took it sublingually. It was in a dropper.
And you broke out again.
And I got the very same reaction.
Okay, well, let me explain something, because you're bringing up a very important point, okay? So let me explain something. I'm not just talking to you, I'm talking to almost all our listeners here.
Okay.
You cannot be allergic to a vitamin, period.
Okay.
End of story.
Okay.
Not only that, but you cannot be allergic to an essential nutrient. The reason I'm bringing this up is because this isn't the first time I've heard this. I hear from a lot of folks. People will tell me they're allergic to vitamin C. People will tell me they're allergic to iodine. You can't be allergic to something that's essential, because the meaning of essential, and I'm guilty of doing this, and a lot of people are guilty of doing this. We brush by the word essential and we say, oh, you need to have, essential means your body can't make it, but that doesn't really hit home. Essential, when you hear the word essential, as in essential vitamins or essential amino acids or essential fatty acids, which we've been talking about, that means you're dead without them. I don't know how much more simple I could say this. You're dead without them. Now, it doesn't make any sense for you to be allergic to something that you would be dead without. That's not how it works, because then you'd be stuck with an allergy or death. You know,
right.
So when we say essential, we mean essential, like air. Just like you're dead without air, you're dead without vitamin B12. Now, fortunately, you're always going to get a little bit of vitamin B12, and your body stores vitamin B12 quite effectively. You've got probably months, maybe even years of vitamin B12 stored in your liver, because it's that important. If you were to somehow figure out a way to eliminate all the B12 from your diet and all the B12 from your body, you wouldn't be with us very long. So you can't be allergic to a vitamin. That's the reason I'm bringing this up, is because it's a very common misunderstanding. So that's first of all. Secondly, allergic reactions typically only happen to peptides and proteins. That's because peptides and proteins tell the body that somehow something from another life form has gotten into the body. Peptides and proteins distinguish life. So the life of an insect is different from the life of a human being, basically because of its protein content. The proteins in an insect are different from the protein in a human being. They're different from a protein in a leaf. They're different from a protein in a cat or a dog or a cow or a goat. And what distinguishes life forms is the protein. So allergic reactions only happen to proteins because they tell the immune system that another life form has gotten inside the body. Vitamins don't do that. Essential fatty acids don't do that. Nutrients don't do that. Hang tight, because I want to finish this up when we come back. I'm Pharmacist Ben. You're listening to The Bright Side on the Genesis Communication Network. We'll be back after this. We're back on The Bright Side. Barb in California. That was a kind of long-winded introduction. First of all, you can only be allergic to proteins because proteins identify other life forms, not vitamins, not essential fats, not minerals. The distinguishing feature between life forms is proteins, so the immune system has evolved to react to proteins as a sign that an enemy has gotten into the body, an enemy life form. That's what the immune system does. So you're only going to be allergic to proteins. Secondly, you're not going to be allergic to any kind of essential nutrients. That doesn't make any kind of sense, because you need those essential nutrients. Thirdly, vitamin B12 is unspeakably important for everything, and you only need it in tiny amounts. In fact, vitamin B12 is one of the most strangest of all the vitamins. If you look at the chemical structure of vitamin B12, it is incredibly complicated, incredibly complex, and very similar in a lot of ways to chlorophyll, the active ingredient, or the main component in plants, the element in plants that transduces the sunlight energy into material energy, into sugar. So vitamin B12, this is all to say, is really, 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 really important, and you can't be allergic to it, and you need to have it. So here's what you might want to do. There's different forms of vitamin B12, first of all. The methylcobalamin form is the more deluxe form. The typical form is called cyanocobalamin. First of all, I would be using, if you have a problem with cyanocobalamin, you might want to try methylcobalamin, not that that's going to involve allergies. Secondly, Barbara, this is really important, is sometimes in a product like the BTT, or you said you tried a sublingual, do you say sublingual or nasal? I think you said sublingual form of vitamin B12, right? Sometimes there's other ingredients in there that you may be reacting to, and that's where you might have a problem, is with these excipients or carrier molecules, these things that they put into the products. When you're buying a nutritional supplement, oftentimes you'll have excipients with that product, excess ingredients. that are used for the product, not for the vitamins or the nutrients, but for the product itself, to make the product flow better or to preserve the product. You know what I'm saying? These are things that are put into the product, not for nutritional reasons, but to keep the product, to allow the product to do what it's supposed to do. So you may be having a reaction to that. That is much more common. So what I would do is I would try to experiment with different forms of B12, and you can always get your B12 from liver and organ meats as well. Those are the best sources of vitamin B12. Algae will also get you some vitamin B12, but you need vitamin B12. It's incredibly, incredibly important, and you're not going to be able to go without it anyway because you have it stored in your liver, as I say, and a lot of foods will contain a little bit of B12. But don't try to stay away from vitamin B12 in a supplement. Try to find a supplement that you can take that has vitamin B12. That would be my recommendation to you. Okay?
Okay, very good. Thank you.
Thank you so much. God bless, Barbara. All right. That was kind of a long-winded answer, but I think that's very, very important that we understand this distinction between allergy stuff that you can be allergic to and stuff that you can't be allergic to. Okay, Laura in Florida, what's going on? Welcome to The Bright Side.
Hi. My boyfriend listens to your show all the time,
Okay.
and he urged me to call in today. My question's about acne.
Okay, good.
I've suffered with pretty bad acne since I was 14. I'm currently 20, and I've done a lot of antibiotics and gone through the whole dermatologist crap.
Hasn't helped you, has it?
No, it absolutely hasn't.
No.
It turned normal acne into cystic. Just
How do you
really
like
awful.
that? So your doctor took your acne and made it into cystic acne, and that's not the
Yes.
first time I've heard that. Congratulations, dermatologist, by the way. That's par for the
Right,
course.
it's just awful.
Okay, here's the deal. Acne is super easy to treat. If you're not getting results, if you're not showing, if your strategies for your acne skin are not getting your results within a week or even less, let's just say a week, you're doing something wrong and you want to start to modify your strategies because acne is that easy to treat. Now, here's the thing. There's different types of acne. I've often said there's 7 different types of acne, but just to simplify things for this phone call, we're going to say 2 different types of acne. There's really 7 that I've seen, but we're going to distinguish them into 2 main types just for purposes of this phone call. We're going to call it superficial acne, and we're going to call it cystic acne, okay? These are 2 different health conditions. Got it so far? Okay,
Yeah.
good. Okay, superficial acne occurs in the very surface of the skin. If you're a chemist or a skincare professional, you'll call it the epidermis. And cystic acne occurs in the bottom of the skin, which is 90% of your skin, and that's called the dermis. So you have a problem with cysts, and that means you have a dermis problem. So let's figure out what's in the dermis. The dermis is largely made up of protein fibers. Well, that's not going to cause your acne. And then it's got vessels in it, blood vessels and lymphatic vessels. This is where cysts show up, or this is how cysts show up from issues with the lymphatic circulation. The lymph is your sewage system. In addition to transporting fatty vitamins and nutrients, it's also cleaning out poisons and toxins and sewage, basically, and cleaning them out from the entire body and taking them to the kidney for elimination. But when you have too much toxins, too much toxicity, the lymph starts to clog up. And when the lymph clogs up, especially in the skin, it can push things up. It can push the tissue above it upwards, and that's what a cyst is. A cyst is a clog in the lymph that is pushing the tissue upwards, and then you get a little bump on the surface of the skin. But the take-home message is it's not a surface problem. It's a deep internal problem. In fact, it's not even a skin problem. Even though it's showing up on the skin, it's a lymph problem, which means it's a toxicity problem, especially fatty toxins. And that means typically either digestive issues or hormone issues, fatty hormone issues. Now, I don't know you, ma'am. Never talked to you before, right? It's the first time you probably called, but I can tell you, dollars to donuts, if I was a betting man, you probably have noticed that you've got problems with your menstrual cycle. Is that correct?
A little bit.
Okay, well, you're saying a little bit, but if you have cystic acne, it's got to be more than a little bit, and you're probably just you're living with it, you're tolerating with it, which is what most of us do. Nobody should ever have a problem with their menstrual period. Do you have heavy cramps or heavy bleeding or anything like that?
No, not too much. Really, that was sort of in the past when, I had acne pretty bad before. But my question really was about birth control, and that has really helped clear it up a lot. That's
okay. So what's birth control?
Yeah, I know it's hormones and progesterone.
It's not progesterone. It's fake progesterone, drug
Right.
progesterone, and fake estrogen. The reason the birth control pill is helping you is because it's stabilizing your hormones. However, read the package insert, and you're going to see all the unpleasant things that will happen to you if you stay on the birth control. So instead of giving you drug hormones, how about if we help your female reproductive hormones without drugs? And that was where I was going. So without the birth control pills, you probably would have some menstrual cycle issues. That tells me that the estrogen is helping, or the fake estrogen is helping, and the fake progesterone is helping, which is great. And if there was no toxicity associated with birth control pills, I'd say stay on the birth control pill. But there is toxicity. There's lots of toxicity because they're playing with fire by using pharmaceutical hormones. So let's start working with your female hormones naturally. All right? Number one, get yourself on the ultimate EFAs. And in conjunction with the I'd be taking 3 of them a day, at least, or you can take up to 9 a day, 3 once a day, or 3 times a day. And with those, get yourself on the Biolumin Nightly Essence, which will help you process estrogen and the other female hormones. And it will also help you process fats. And you might want to take your essential fatty acids, your ultimate EFAs, with the ultimate enzymes, which will help you absorb those essential fats. Then we want to start working with fatty vitamins. You notice we're working with fats here, and we're working with fats that, not just fatty hormones, but also fatty vitamins. Vitamin A is spectacularly important. You should be on 20,000 international units a day, and I'd be starting that right away. Get yourself on 50 milligrams of zinc picolinate a day. Zinc is, even though it's a mineral, it's a fatty mineral in the sense that it's absorbed and handled by the fatty system of the body. So take your zinc and your vitamin A with your digestive enzymes and with fatty meals. You might want to throw in some other nutrients that will help you process fats, especially lecithin, and taking some apple cider vinegar with your meals may also help. If I were you, I would consider progesterone cream. And you have to get a compounding pharmacist to make that for you. If you can get them to make a 10% progesterone cream, that can be very helpful for you. If not, you can use the 2% progesterone creams, which are available over the counter. You might want to think about, and this is not really a nutritional idea, but you just might want to experiment with a small amount of DHEA or maybe pregnenolone. Pregnenolone is spelled Pregnenolone, and maybe you want about 100 milligrams or so of that a day. And then last but most certainly not least, for cystic acne, for all cystic acne conditions, NAC, which you can call NAC for short, is also very helpful, and I'd be taking 100 to 500 milligrams of that a day as well. So all of those are natural, non-toxic, nutritional ways for you to deal with your cystic acne, and they will help you the same way the birth control pills do, except in a non-toxic fashion. And then last but most certainly not least, if you have any food allergies or food intolerances, that can compound your problems, and that can cause lymphatic toxicity and make things worse. So eliminating problem foods is always a good strategy. Thanks so much for your call, Laura. I hope that helps you out. And that's all the time we have for today on The Bright Side. If you're interested in learning more about the Longevity products or joining the Brightside Ben team, please call the Brightside Ben phone team at 866-735-2470. Love to have you on my team. I can help you build your business and generate you some income, and you can also get your products at the wholesale price as well. Check out my blog, pharmacistben.com. Tomorrow we'll continue talking about membranes and fats, cell membranes and fats, that is. And then we'll move on to one of my favorite, if not my favorite, amino acid of all, arginine, as we continue on the bright side. Thanks for listening, folks. Have yourselves a wonderful, beautiful day. We'll talk to y'all later. Bye for now.